Right, we're recording. We're live, Vanessa. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So it's March 2021, and this is our second podcast.
I know. Hopefully you can see me a bit better this time.
Right, so this podcast we're going to talk about a little bit about PTSD, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Post-traumatic stress disorder. What is it? What causes it? And what can we do to help and move forward from it? So that's you've got your own personal experiences to share as well, so that's great. But first, we're just going to have a little bit of a chat about what we've learned this week, aren't we?
We are.
So what have you learned this week or this month since the last podcast? What have you learned about yourself?
For me, I've learned to be more patient and just take a step back and just think to myself, I'm not the only one. And give that kindness. When I'm on the phone, I always go thank you to whoever's helped me. If I've had to wait a long time to make that call, I might be on the home, half an hour waiting for somebody to talk to somebody. After, I've always gone, thank you very much, thank you for your time, because they're only doing their job, bless them. It doesn't hurt us to be. It's nice to be kind to everybody, isn't it? And patience. I think a lot of patience. A lot of people are running out of patience.
Yeah, I think that's a big one for me. We had a little bit of discussion earlier. Mine is patience as well.
Yeah.
I've had to learn to be patient this month. I think we're all getting to a point where we're really frustrated now. We just want to go back to normal.
Yeah.
We just want to see our families. We just want to hug people.
Yeah, we do.
I just want to hug my mum and my sister, and it's really sort of frustrating. I'm frustrated. So the biggest thing that I've learned is to be patient.
Yeah, it's strange because my granddaughter, she's nearly 8, bless her. So we speak through, Messenger every night, and we play those little games they have on there and everything. And the other night she said to me, Nanny, I just want to jump through the screen and be at your house.
Oh, wow.
I know. And the thing is, I'm so close to my granddaughter and I do miss her, but I would rather keep everybody safe than actually, go and, as long as I can see her, I think, I can cope with that. Because it's just hard for everybody, isn't it? It's just really, really hard. We're not prepared for this. We weren't prepared. Sometimes I have to pinch and I'm thinking, am I in a dream? Is this real? Because we would never imagined that something like this would happen. And, everybody deals with it differently. And mental health is a big, big thing at the moment. Yeah. People will not.
We've got this part of our brain, haven't we, that says, we need to stay safe. We know all that. We know all the science behind it. We know the reason. We want to be safe. We want to social distance. But then we've got another part, that emotional part of the brain that says, at the same time, fights against that. And it's that constant sort of battle of, I want this, but I also want this. And I can't sort of get that middle ground, and it is frustrating. And it's like you said, it's just got to take time, and we can see the light at the end of the tunnel now.
I think we can, and I think once people start seeing it. I mean, my youngest son has been called up for his injection because he's got asthma, so that's really good. I can't fault. It's going in the right way. We just have to be a bit more patient. It's just taking that time, for me, it's like taking that time and just having more me time, a bit more kindness to myself, watch that box set that I haven't watched for a long time, do those things, watch a film that I used to, anything to sort of like take your mind off everything for a little while, just,
Yeah, I think something that I've definitely gone back to this past week is meditation.
Oh, yes.
Just the 5 or 6 minutes
Yeah.
in the morning, that just, because I can wake up with maybe a feeling of not really sort of negative thoughts.
No.
I think I manage my negative thoughts really well, but just a sense of heaviness on my shoulders.
Yes, I know that feeling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I know why it is. It's because I'm just frustrated about what's happening at the moment.
Yeah, definitely.
But just that 5 or 10 minutes of meditation and a bit of gratitude meditation. I've got a great app on my phone, and that really sort of just brings me back to the present, and I just think, wow, I can just cope with the day now, and it just changes my mindset, and that sort of heavy feeling just lifts off and just enough.
Yeah, I think that's important to have that routine. I mean, it's like for me, I make sure that I do some form of exercise every day.
Yeah.
I mean, I walk anyway, I walk everywhere, but another, I might do some ab workout, I might do some push-ups, I might just do, a HIIT class, just something very short, doesn't have to be very long, 10 minutes or so, just to get me up and moving.
Yeah.
And then if I don't sleep in the night, then it is meditation. I don't, but I think like you, we've worked hard on ourselves. We know what works. And it's just about training ourselves to take and go, right, come on, we know how to fix this, fix it. And we go into that meditation, we go and do that run or whatever that we do to make us feel a little bit better. Because I can't always solve problems, but you can definitely take a lot of stress away from yourself by going off and doing something, distracting the mind, isn't it? It's just like going, right, I'm not going to let this happen.
And you might not be able to solve problems, but at least if you recognise how you're feeling, you can change how you're feeling about.
Of course you can.
Yeah. Either when you've got a problem, you can either change it. If you can't control it, you can't change it. Change how you think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. This is, I think this is a big thing with anything in life, isn't it? You can react a certain way. You don't have to react that way. I can react now. I think probably go back probably 10 years, there'd be something come up and I'd react probably, not that way. Now I react and think, come on, this is not serving you any purpose. And I face it and I look at it and I go, right, now what are you going to do about it? It's like changing the direction. Instead of looking at it one way, you can look at it different ways and go, right, changing that positive, the negative, into a positive quite quickly. I mean, I know how to do that now. Yeah. I see the positive in anything, even if there is something awful. I find something to be positive about.
I don't know about how you began to train your mind in that way, Vanessa, but being a hypnotherapist myself, one of the things that I used to do was for that, and right at the start where you are feeling in that you're in that stress anxiety cycle and you're feeling really low, is just to not to label any thoughts, just so that that thought happened or that feeling's happened, and not to go, oh, I shouldn't be feeling like that, or should be feeling that way. And then once I started to recognize those feelings, I sort of said, well, is that a weed or a seed? Yeah. Is that a weed that's just going to sort of, grow over me and keep me in that horrible negative place? Or is it a seed that I can grow and that's how I used to look at it. It's like positive, negative, isn't it? Yeah. Is it a weed or a seed? And I quite like that because it rhymes and I remembered it really well. Yeah. I think, and then you can start to go, right, if that's a weed, I don't need it anymore. Mm-hmm. If that's a seed, fantastic, that's made me feel good, that's made me feel amazing. So that's how I started to train my brain in that way.
I mean, I did mindfulness, and mindfulness really, really changed my life, completely changed my life. My mindset is completely, I really engaged in it. And I think I was at a time in my life where I had to do something. So I did that for a year solidly with a one-to-one coach. And I tell you what, she changed everything for me. And I just think, I engaged in it, and I engaged in all the good stuff that she taught me and all the stuff that I benefit from it. And I know how it makes me feel. So I want to feel that good. I don't want to feel that So whenever something bad happens, I try and sort of like go back to what she taught me and go, right, now it might be a simple exercise, like, you know, just shrugging your shoulders and shaking it out. I was taught that. So, you know, and things like that. And you know what? These really do work. They really do work. You know, and I go back to that meditation as well. You know, I can sometimes just 5 minutes meditation can just, is all you need.
Yeah.
It's all you need. But when I'm in that place, I'm safe. I'm in my own little bubble, you know, and I've got my protective colour bubble, you know, and you can with meditation really just go to your happy place. It's just come, you know, I could now meditate in a park with people around me. The sounds don't bother me anymore. I've got that, I can go into that place, you know, and just go, right, I'm calm, I'm okay, I'm safe. You know, I've done it in the supermarket before, not with my eyes closed, but I've gone into my protective bubble and protected myself, because supermarkets are very, you know,
and it only takes,
busy.
I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it only takes sort of 17 seconds to switch that around. Just 17 seconds. So you could be sat at your desk at work.
Definitely.
Without anybody knowing.
Yeah.
Or, you know, or walking through the supermarket, or in the park. And just 17 seconds.
Yeah, definitely.
Literally switch your mindset. And it's interesting, because a lot of people I've spoken to have said, oh, I've tried meditation, I just can't do it.
Yeah.
It's really hard. And that's where, I guess, guided meditation.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be you with your own sort of thoughts.
Yeah.
Absolute quiet, does it? Guided meditation and relaxations really good as a stepping stone into that, because you've got somebody there telling you how to do it in a way.
I think it's just it's just switching your brain off. It's just going, right, you know, with meditation it does take a long time. You know, you can't just, you know, I find a lot of people just can't get, you know, it took me a while, but I think once you've learned those skills to go relax your body, like you relax your hair, you relax all your arms, your fingers, your toes and everything, and then you literally concentrate on your breathing, you know, because we don't concentrate on all these things. And then once you get into that zone, you're just there. You don't know where you've gone. I mean, with your meditation, I always fall asleep. I don't mean that horribly, but that I'm so relaxed. I'm just so relaxed.
Yeah.
You know, then I wake up and I think, oh, I can't hear Emma's voice now. Where's she gone?
Where's she gone?
Where's she gone? You know, but it's relaxing our minds, because we do, you know, and if something does come in, I can flick it back out again. You know, I can remember years ago, I used to go to a yoga class, and at the end of it, we used to do a bit of meditation. Well, this was held in a gym, and the gym used to play really loud music. And the first time, she said to me at the end of it, oh, how did you like the meditation? I said, I hated it. I said, because all I could hear was Justin Timberlake going, I'm alive, I'm alive. I'm like, you know, just, you know, boom, boom, boom. She said, honestly, she said, I will have a word with them. But she said, honestly, once you get used to meditation, do you know what? She was right. After a while, I didn't hear that music. Yeah. All I heard was my own thoughts and everything. So it's hard to learn, but once you learn it, you've got it.
Yeah, you've got that tool there.
Oh, definitely.
So shall we talk a bit about PTSD then?
Yes.
Yeah. So PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, it's an anxiety disorder.
Yeah.
And it's sort of, you know, it's quite frightening. It can be quite frightening, quite stressful.
Very.
And what's your experience of PTSD, Vanessa? How would you describe your experience?
Right, I'm going to be brutally honest here, and it's probably not going to be, you know, it was hell. It was horrible. I've never, ever experienced anything like it. And I didn't know what was happening to me. It was just, I'd lost control of everything. I just didn't know who I was. I was scared of everything. And it just, I think with me, it was through lots and lots of different traumas in my life, you know, and I hadn't really faced these traumas. So I was always the type of person, you get up in the morning, you put your face on, you do, and I worked in the catering industry. There was a very, very fast paced, long hours and everything. So I didn't really have a lot of time to myself. And I knew deep down inside I was poorly. But mental health, going back to like even 20 years ago, wasn't it was,
nobody spoke about it, did they?
You know, when you're not, and I grew up with people not really understanding mental health, so really didn't have that guidance, you know. And I remember from an early age when I was 14, some traumas happened when I was 14. I suffered with a lot of headaches, you know, and then when I got to about 16, 17, I was drinking a lot, you know, and I was just doing outrageous things, you know, and then other traumas happened in my life, and it's just, you know, and other things that I had to face, and I never faced them. I just got on with life, just got like next morning, get up.
So because you've explained to me before, Vanessa, you've got complex
yes
stress disorder, and that's where you've experienced many traumatic events.
Yeah.
The one.
Not just one. Yeah.
Multiple. And so with post-traumatic stress disorder, that can come from a car accident, can't it?
Yeah.
Assaults, sexual assault, childbirth even.
Yes.
Cause traumatic stress disorder. And are you happy to share any of those events?
I will share some. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. As long as you're comfortable.
Yeah.
So what specifically do you think has driven this anxiety disorder that you have now then?
I think with me, you know, I didn't have an easy childhood, so that was not easy for me. And then I got married very early and lost him, and then got into abusive relationships. And I just think things just, I was like going from one trauma to another, if you know what I mean. And it was just constantly battling with all these, you know, bad choices I've made in life. You know, we all make mistakes, and they were bad choices because I wasn't well, because I wasn't facing, you know, I think with a lot of stuff, with any depression, with anything in life, you just tend to, I've always been a strong character. I've always been a strong person, get up, get on with it, but quite the old-fashioned way. So, you know,
What's the old-fashioned way? What do you describe as the old-fashioned way? Just interested.
Just get up and, you know, well, what I believe it would be is just put your face on, you know, and just get on with it. Pull yourself together.
Yeah.
Pull yourself together. That was, you know, it was to face the world. You know, mental health was just, it's in your head. It's not real.
Yeah.
You know, it's, and this is what negativity I had. So when you've got all that negativity,
do you think that sort of stigma around mental health and that, like that comment, not pull yourself together, do you think that's still prevalent in the world? Do you think that still happens?
I don't think so. No, I think there's probably some generation, you know, but no, it's not. It's, you know, I speak to so many people now. No, that's slowly going. I'm happy to say that is slowly going. You know, it's
just interesting because from my point of view, I feel like we're starting to chip away at that, aren't we?
Definitely.
Yeah,
I think, you know, I think that's lovely as well, because I mean, before I had my breakdown, you know, I was very much that person that was quite negative about mental health. I used to think that as well, because that'd been drummed into my brain that, you know, it was all in my head. I wasn't allowed to feel like that. I was, you know, I had to feel weak. It was a weakness for me to show my emotions, to show having a bad day, having depression. It was a weakness, but it's not a weakness, you know. But when you've got people around you that give you all this negativity, it was very much, oh, I just shut up and I'll just get on with it. I'll just, you know, but inside I'm screaming. I'm like, this isn't right. I always knew inside myself none of this was right. But when you're not with people that are going to support that, you're very much on your own. It's just like, get on with it. So I did.
And that goes back to, if somebody's broken their leg or they've got a cut or a bruise, you can see or they're ill. You can see they're physically ill. You can see that, can't you? With mental health. You can be the brightest, happiest person in the room, but inside you're
the most unhappiest. Definitely.
And there are ways and signs of recognizing mental health, but it's not always as easy.
I think for some, asking for help is quite a hard thing to do. And I mean, I couldn't ask for help. I think that what hit me, and I had my breakdown, I'd been with my son's.
Why did you feel that you couldn't ask for help? Was it the stigma around it, or did you not know?
I just didn't think, I think because I didn't think I was listened to, because I was growing up, and with the relationships and stuff like that, I'd not really had anybody that supported me with who I wanted to be. I was never myself. I've never been myself till now. I've always had to be something different to please other people, and I think when I did have my breakdown, I eventually, now I am the person I want to be, but back then I was, again, it was very much, I didn't know who I was.
That fear of disappointing people, maybe?
Oh, yes, all the time. I mean, I had therapy about it, and my therapist said, you're a people pleaser. It's in your nature to do that. But now I've got boundaries. I've learned my boundaries, and and do you know what? I live by my boundaries. But then I didn't have any boundaries. I just went along with it. If I upset somebody, that upset me to the extreme, I'd get really, really stressed about it.
Yeah.
It's about, and in a sense, I didn't know how to act, because I thought, I've upset that person, but really some of those things that happened wasn't really my fault. It was them, not me. And I think, but the person that's going through it always thinks it's them. You feel worthless because they've made you to feel worthless. It's all these things, and then when it all piles up, the brain can't deal with all that.
No.
It can't deal with it.
Yeah.
It's too much. It's just too much for somebody.
I often use the metaphor of a bucket of stress, and we pile all that stress in, and eventually at some point that stress overflows.
Yeah. I always said, when I went to the doctors, I feel like a bottle of pop and I'm being fizzed. And one day that pop, that lid's just going to pop off. That's how I felt. I always felt, and I felt it in my body. It was like poison. I could feel it. I felt exhausted all the time. I had to put a smile on my face. I felt absolutely drained from everything. And when I did have my breakdown, the relief, to be honest with you, because I'd split up with my partner I'd been with for 10 years. And I think that was the final straw. Then because we split up, I had to move into a smaller house. Then I couldn't work because my depression has set in. I'd really, and I just crashed. Just absolutely crashed. And I didn't leave the house for nearly 2 years.
Wow, that's massive.
I didn't go out. My curtains were closed. I lived in a little cave. My daughter always said, Mum's front room's like a little cave, because I didn't have lights on. I just wanted to be in the dark. I did have suicidal thoughts, but I don't think it wasn't about that. It was about, I just wanted a rest. I wanted a rest from everything. I just wanted to be, because I loved my kids. My kids kept me going, but I couldn't cope with it all.
Yeah, you wanted it to stop.
I wanted it to stop. And I think the only way I did was crashing. And then about 6 months later, my house, because I rented a house, had been put up for sale. And this is when I got the help. So it's 6 months I literally stayed in the house. My son used to have to go and do my shopping for me and everything like that. He worked, and he'd come home from work and he'd go, Mum, do you need anything? And I'd circle things in the little pamphlet. Yeah, I need that and that. Because I just couldn't do it. I just could not face the world. And he used to come back with it all. And then one day I saw, you know, a sign outside my house saying my house is for sale. I lived in my pajamas. I got my big coat on, and it was like a quilt to the floor so it could hide me. I put that on over my pajamas and went into the council offices and said, I'm going to be homeless. But do you know what? That day was a good day. Even though I didn't see it at the time, I started to get help because I was knowledge I might be homeless. The lady at the council said, Vanessa, you're not well. We're going to get you some support. They got me the support. And then things start slowly. It still took another 1.5 years for me to get to even, you know, get anywhere really. But it was a starting point.
Yeah. Mental
health got involved. You know, they came out to the house because I couldn't get to the hospital. I wouldn't go to the hospital. And then a plan was set around me, but, you know, support workers. And it was just, you know, that came out to see me, phone calls. But still then, I still just didn't want to engage for a little while. I just needed a rest. They then diagnosed me with bipolar. I didn't have bipolar, but they, you know, and then started working on different therapies and everything. But I wasn't ready. I was not ready. I still wasn't ready to, you know, go through all those things.
How did you know when you was ready?
When I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, when I was diagnosed.
So was that diagnosis a bit of a changing point for you then?
Oh, massively.
I'm just interested because some people don't like the label. Some people feel comforted by the label.
Massively.
Yeah.
Because it made me feel that I was right about what, because you know in yourself what's wrong with you. And it doesn't matter, a doctor can tell you anything. The thing is, but they don't know who you are. They read things off pieces of paper, blah, blah, blah. But I knew inside something else was going on. Yeah. So I'd been discharged from the hospital in the February. And then I had an appointment to go back to the hospital to see a psychotherapist. They diagnosed me that day. They said, you've got post-traumatic stress disorder and plus you've got clinical depression. And she said to me, and we will get you some help, some more treatment. And she said, and my mental health was bad again. She said, would you like mental health to get involved again? I said, yes, please, because it was bad. I was getting to the point where, I mean, even going to that appointment that day, she could see I wasn't well. I didn't want to be there.
Was it actually the fact that you were diagnosed with that, or the fact that she said, actually, we can help you with this?
Both, I think, both. Because to be honest with you, when do you know what? It was just like, oh my God, this is what's wrong with me. I know now that I didn't need to be labelled. It didn't need to be labelled, but it was just, I can go and research this now.
Right.
And that's what I did. I researched. And do you know what? I've adapted my life to my condition. I live a really good life. I know what triggers me. I know what, you know, and I'm such in a good place through learning about my condition and helping other people with my condition as well. I meet loads of other people with that condition, and it's like we're a little family. It's just, you know, there's some ups and there's some lows.
Yeah.
But we understand each other. We're on the same sort of like page about, you know, how we feel about things. You know, I mean, my children had to adapt to it as well because I had to change things. They knew going out for a day with mum was hard work because I'd be out for an hour and I'd want to go home.
So when you started to go back out into the world, how did you manage to, I'm assuming that you did that gradually, you didn't just...
Yes, no, gradually, yeah.
What small steps did you take to then start building
Just probably just going to the shop, the local shop that wasn't far from me.
That on that day though, that probably felt like quite a big achievement to go to.
Oh, it was horrible. I would be exhausted. I'd be exhausted. I mean, the hospital were very good for me because the hospital used to come round and I had one CPN that used to come and he'd go, right, come on, let's go and step outside your front door. And he'd take me outside the door and we'd do breathing exercise. So he taught me how to, if I was getting overwhelmed, how to breathe and everything like that. So all these things. And then I'd got my mindfulness sorted out. So I'd go for my appointment. I used to go to my appointment there once a week, but in a safe place that I knew. So I didn't feel, overwhelmed. And I knew her from the yoga, because she used to do the yoga. So I knew her. It was all about keeping me with people that I trusted and people that I wanted to be, that I felt I could open up to. Because I'd gone through all my life not opening up. And then all of a sudden I've had a breakdown and I've got all these emotions. And like the hospital said, this needed to happen. You needed to let all this out. And now I'm sort of like so honest about it, but I never used to be. Because I was ashamed of it. But I've got nothing to be ashamed of. But you do when you have this condition, you feel like it's your fault. And it's not. No. But that took me a long time to realise that. It's so many different levels to the condition. It's hard. And when I meet somebody now that's at the early stages of their condition or just being diagnosed, I can see myself straight away thinking, oh my goodness. And I help them through it because it's scary. But once you get there, wow, it's amazing. I've got to the top now, I'm on that mountain. But I've got a few more things I need to challenge myself with, but that will come with time. I don't put myself pressure on that. It's fine.
Yeah, so it's not a case of, and I think with any mental disorder, it's not a case of you wake up one morning and now I'm okay, is it? It's
oh, definitely not. I will always have this condition.
Yeah, but it's how you manage it. And
yes,
just because you've always got the condition doesn't mean that you have to struggle.
No, definitely not. I'm proof of that. But anybody that doesn't know me, they wouldn't know, people wouldn't, when I say I've got the condition, you wouldn't know because I work so well. I've worked so well. I mean, those few years, absolutely researching and talking to other people and going on other, groups and everything like that on Facebook, where there's groups on there and learning. And it was just amazing to learn about the condition and then act on it and go, right, this is what I need to do. And if I feel like this, I know what to do now. And it's about triggers, and it does happen. I do still have triggers, but when I have that trigger, I don't go, oh my God, I'm going to panic and I'm going to run. I'm going, yeah, okay. Now what we're going to do about it? I know what to do, but my 10-year-old at the time, he started to say, when he used to come home from school, he goes, Mum, have you been out today? And I go, no, should we go for a walk? And slowly he started taking me out. But if he saw me get anxious, he guided me out the room or wherever I was. He was absolutely amazing because I'd shake from head to toe. I'd cry. I mean, to anybody on the outside world, if I was in a shop, if I felt vulnerable, I'd just leave my basket and I'd run. To anybody else, what people are like. They're probably going, oh, what's wrong with her? And this is it. That's why I didn't want to go out, because I didn't want to be judged for what I'd just done.
Yeah. And that's another thing we do, isn't it? We put shame on ourselves for feeling like that.
Yeah.
And,
I don't now. I'm quite open about it. It's like they feel more uncomfortable than what I'm sort of like, I'm so open about it, because when I go to new places, and I still do it, I go to new places, I have to be near the door and looking at the door, and things like that. And if I go in,
what might be a trigger for you then? If you could describe what would happen if you A, saw that trigger, and B, then how would you feel? How would that pan out?
Right, I'm just trying to think now. I'm thinking of a situation. Right, if something, a trigger was happening, going back to my worst days, I would just shake, cry, run, want to be away from people. I'd want to hide. And I mean, and sometimes if a trigger happened, something triggered me outside, then it'd be 2 or 3 days before I'd go back out the house again. It can be, I think with a lot of the traumas that I've been through, I've got so many. So I can have so many triggers. So there's something can be.
Are those triggers sounds or?
Sounds, smells.
Right.
There could be smells. it can be sounds, it can be the way somebody speaks, it can be a tone, it can be somebody's negativity that can trigger me. So I stay away from negative stuff completely, you know, because I can't let it into my life. It just can't happen.
That's quite a lot of triggers, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Let's go, for example, someone who's worked in the services and they've been through quite traumatic experience, and the sound of an explosion would trigger their PTSD.
Yeah.
That's one trigger. Again, they might have smell, etc. But to have that many triggers, that's a lot to manage. But actually, you manage it really well. So very well. I mean, I think with what I do as well, I keep myself safe. I've got places that, you know, I feel comfortable with. I keep my circle of people very, very close to me. You know, and I think with the triggers, they don't affect me like they used to. You know, they're still there. And if you know, I'm quite kind to them now. If a trigger comes in, I'm like, oh, you're there, are you? Go on, go away. You know, I can boot it off now. Where before I wouldn't be able to manage it. I really wouldn't be able to manage it, and I'd be ill for days. And my children used to see these triggers happening. You know, my daughter used to say, well, that's because you did that, or that happened, you know, and then so I took control. I'm in control now. They're not in control of me. And I think this is what it is with post-traumatic stress disorder. It's finding that your way, because everybody's different. Every condition's different. So for me, I know what I have to do to not trigger myself, how to be kind to myself. Is there anything specifically that enabled you to do that, or was it just gradually over time?
Just gradually over time. And I think because the way it makes me feel. Now, when it used to, you know, when I don't want to feel like that again, and I'd work so hard with the meditation and the mindfulness to make me feel into a calm place. So when I had a trigger or something happened, I was poisoning my body again. It was like a poison going through me that was just absolutely, I don't want to feel like that. I didn't want to feel like that. So quickly, you know, I would then go and do that meditation, or, you know, do that mindfulness. I'm going to go and have a cup of tea. I'm going to switch the brain off. I'm going to do some breathing exercises. These breathing exercises, I can't stress how good they are for you, because they give you, because when somebody's panicking, their breathing's erratic, isn't it? Like, oh, you know, I can't breathe. But actually, you are breathing. You are breathing. But it's about calming yourself down and going, right, deep breath in, hold it, breathe back out again. And, you know, there's the thing about, you know, it's, you know, shrugging, you know, I just shrug my, and go, let all that, you know, and all these things work. And you know what? Even if I was in public and I found a quiet corner, I would do that just for a second, because it brought me back to here and now, instead of being all over the place with my mind. And
you don't have to be dramatic about that, do you?
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Into a corner, or, you know, away from the crowd.
I've done it in a toilet before. I mean, it sounds really bad now. But I have gone into a toilet.
I've done that in a toilet as well.
I've gone, right, I need to.
Yeah. It's that fight or flight mechanism, isn't it? When
yeah, definitely.
That traumatic event, or we are triggered by that traumatic event, that part of our brain sends a signal to the rest of our body. Tense up your muscles. Let's start breathing. Yeah. Blood pressure goes up because we're ready to run away from it. That's what
definitely
to do, isn't it? And when we're breathing, when we're doing those deep breaths, we're then sending a signal back saying, actually, it's okay. Yeah. We don't need to anymore.
So, I think at the beginning for me, I didn't have these coping skills. I didn't know. And I think, again, it's letting myself move forward with these treatments and going, you know, because I was quite negative about meditation. I used to go, nah, that don't work. I used to see it all and think, what a load of rubbish. And I honestly did think like that. I was the most...
I think for me, it was all sort of hippie woo-woo.
Yeah, I love being hippie woo-woo now. Absolutely, I'm there. But I was exactly the same. Because the industry that I worked in a fast industry, working in pubs and restaurants, you know, with lots of noise and lots of, you know, there was no calmness in my life. I didn't know how to be calm, you know, so this is a completely different way of life, but a brilliant way.
Sometimes we don't even know that we're stressed, do we? And it's recognizing that we are.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Vanessa, how do you know that you won't fall backwards again and that you'll keep continuing on your journey?
I think, and I'm going to honestly say this, I don't think anybody can actually say that it's never going to happen again. I don't think you can, because, you know, I'm always aware that I have to take care of myself. So you have to, I don't think when you've got this condition, and if you've got so many triggers, it just depends what trigger really does come through. You know, it just depends. At the moment, I mean, you know, 6 years I've controlled this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping I've mastered it, but I've got lots of good things in my life now. And I think my mindset is all about, I'm such a giving person. I like to help people that are going through the same struggles I am. So I think because I can talk about mental health every second of the day because I work with it. And I think for me, that's the key about talking about how you feel. Because if we keep something, it doesn't matter what it is, get it out. It doesn't matter if it's on a bit of paper, it's to your friend, it's, you know, anything, just get it out this brain. It's just about recognizing. I recognize when I'm having that dip. And I go, right, that's me for a few days. I'm going to be kind to myself. It's about being kind again to yourself.
Yeah.
But I'm always aware that, you know, I have to look after myself because I don't want to have that fall again.
Yeah. I think that's the same for me. It's sort of, when I first started to get better,
yeah,
almost like I was waiting for that day when I was just going to crumble.
Yeah.
And have a major meltdown. But
yeah.
It never happened.
No.
And then it would come up again and I'd think, oh, I haven't slipped backwards. What's happening?
What's happening?
And then you get a bit anxious about not being anxious.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's crazy.
Yeah. But then now I know why. And now I'm really comfortable with the fact that, yes, you have up and down days. Everybody deals with things that come into their life. But now I know I've got them tools in my kit.
Yeah. Tool belt.
And nobody can take them away from me.
No. I think that is the key. I think it's knowing yourself. It's like I always say, we've all got a way. It's just finding your way. We're all different. You know, every mental health condition is different. Every person suffers differently. So for it to say, right, this works, it doesn't work for everybody.
And that's where people like you and I help someone to find their right way.
Yes, definitely.
You would never say to somebody, oh, do you know what you need to do? You need to have a walk every day. But that person might say, oh, that's not going to help me. But actually, somebody can create their own kit, can't they? They can create their own.
Yeah, and I think I think with a lot of people as well, they get so overwhelmed with what's going on. And I think we do worry about what everybody else thinks of us. And I think, you know, I've got that freedom now. And I don't mean this in a horrible way, but I don't care. You know, I think you've got to take your priorities, you know, when you've been through, and I mean, I'm going to say, you know, I went through a really bad time in my life. I wouldn't wish that mental health condition on anybody. It was awful. And it was just but you know what? Such a good thing came out of it. I'm helping people. Something I never thought I'd do. Something I thought I'd never do. You know, I've always had time for people, but this is so much different. This is so rewarding without getting paid for it. It's just amazing, you know, and it's just, you know, it's coming from experience. And I think sometimes when you go through experience, you can give the best advice in the world. And I think it's about recognizing as well, not putting too much pressure on somebody. You know, they take their time. You can gently plant. I do it with my group members. I plant the seed in the brain. I sort of like say a few things, and they sort of like, some of them will be negative, some of them positive, some are, oh, no. And then a few weeks' time, I'm like, ooh, look what you lot are doing, you know, because I've planted that seed. And that's what happened to me. People planted a seed in my brain and it grew. And then now I'm strong enough to do it without any treatment. You know, when the last time I had my treatment, the lady that I'm a lovely lady that I saw at Riverside, she was just retiring. I was one of her last clients. And I went to see her, and I tell you what, she changed my life. She absolutely changed my life because she listened to what I was saying. And she said to me, you're a sensitive soul. She says, you're a very sensitive person. But she said, I think your best thing to do is do something that you care about and a job that you enjoy. Because I couldn't go back to catering. I couldn't do it now because it was bad for my mental health. It was really, really bad for my mental health. And then I just thought, I don't know what I can do. What can I do? And then I found this.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm good at. And this is what, you know, I give those people that listening ear. It's not about me going, you must do this, you must do that. That is the last thing I'm going to do. I'm going to guide them their pace, in their time.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it's all about. I think with this condition, you've got to give yourself a lot of time.
Yeah. I'd go as far as to say that my therapist saved my life as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Even on that very first session where I learned about, it was almost like he knew me inside out.
It's lovely.
And, you know, and it was like, and the hope that I had when I left that session was like, it was like a massive relief.
It's brilliant, isn't it? Yeah.
This guy's going to help me and I'm going to change. And it was just, it was a pivotal moment for me.
Yeah, and I think that's what it...
And you're taking that positive action, you're doing something, and that's rewarding in itself.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think that's it with what I do now. I'll help people and everything. For them, it's about me sitting there and listening to him. But then when they say afterwards, they go, you actually do understand, don't you? And I'm like, I don't always tell everybody. I don't, you know, I am sort of like, still, I'm not saying still secretive about my condition or anything like that. But I think there's a time and a place to tell people things. You know, some people come to me and I probably never told them. And then some people I'm going, just to make you feel at ease, I have got post-traumatic stress. And straight away, that person is calm straight away. So you understand mental health then. And I think for a lot of people, they don't open up because the fear of not being understood.
And being judged as well.
Oh, absolutely. You know, and with me, you're never going to get that. You know, I'm a very sort of like laid back, sort of like, you know, but with all the traumas that I've been through, you know, you can guarantee, and it sounds really sad, really, but it's not. You know, I've not all my traumas. I'm using them from now for a positive thing that I can actually help people. You can guarantee somebody walks in or comes and sees me, I've had at least one of their things. I've been through it, you know, and it's, you know, it's sad because I've had to go through all those things. But now I'm doing something good.
There's a purpose.
There's a purpose. And I think, you know, I think that I'm all a great believer. It happens for a reason, you know, and my journey of my mental health, my breakdown, I'm grateful for. But there's something my daughter once said though, and this was when I was just about to set up Community Mind Matters, and I was going round. I used to go around the charity shops because that's the only place I could really face going. And it used to take me 2 hours to get out the door. My daughter used to still come round to the house, go, come on, Mum, we're going out. And I'll go, oh, I don't want to go out. Come on, Mum, you'll be all right when you get out there. 9 times out of 10, I was okay. And one day I went in this charity shop and I was telling them, and she said, what, you've got mental health? You don't look like somebody that's got mental health. And do you know what? My daughter just went, excuse me, what does mental health look like? You know, she says, you don't realise how much it's took my mum to get out this house today. And this is what we do tend to forget, that there's people out there that not getting out the house. You know, I know getting out that door was the hardest thing in the world for me to do. Now I'm always out that door. I love being outside, you know, I love being, you know, but it's hard work for some people because that fear of judgment. And I was judged on the way I looked. How, you know, you know, sometimes they think mental health people should look dirty, but we shouldn't look dirty, you know.
And I think the stigma, like we said before, is
totally going now. No, totally going. You know, it is totally going. But back then,
for me growing up, when I thought of mental health, I thought of crazy people in an asylum somewhere.
Yes,
that's what I would think about.
Yeah.
And so, God, no, that's not me.
You'd always hear it, wouldn't you? You'd hear it sort of like if you'd go family gatherings. I mean, I'm slightly older than you, so you know, but I go to family and you'd say, oh yeah, did you hear about Auntie so-and-so? A bit loopy she is, you know. But you know what? Really, she wasn't. She was in pain, wasn't she? Auntie so-ever, or whoever it was actually not very well.
Yeah.
But because there was such a big stigma on it, you know, it was pushed aside that you were crazy. I'm far from crazy. I may be a little bit crazy, but for good reasons. But, you know, it is that stigma. And do you know what? I'm so grateful, you know, the stigma is where it is now.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much more support and help out there for people. And it's lovely. So
what would you say to someone who right now might be suffering or think that they might be suffering from PTSD? What advice would you give them?
Go and get some help. Just ask somebody for some help. You know, just research it, go to your doctors, you know, ask them to refer you to somebody. You know, to be honest with you, once you've done that, it does lift a lot off your shoulders. It really, really does. Yeah. It really, you know, and I think it is that fear of knowing, isn't it? But once you know what you're up against, there's so much help out there. There really is help out there. We're so lucky now that we have all these resources, all these charities out there to go, you know, and there's always advice.
Yeah.
There's always advice, you know, and if one thing doesn't work, then try something else. It's about finding your way.
Yeah, exactly.
But, you know, just anybody that thinks they are, please just go and ask for some help. You know, it's just...
I know it's really hard to ask for help.
Oh, of course.
Sometimes people leave it right till the last minute.
They do. That's the sad thing.
But if you do ask for help and you don't get the help that you want, my advice would be try somewhere different. You know.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Have a knock back, and that's the end.
Oh no. I mean,
there's so many different avenues. And
well, I'll just give you for instance now. I mean, I went to a doctor. I was discharged from the hospital, but my social worker said, well, they might just. But he wanted to stay with me. He was retiring, and he sort of like, he said, I'm going to be working with you for the next couple of months, Vanessa, and help you along. So he came to the doctors with me because I needed a sick note, and my doctor, because I'd been discharged from the hospital, decided I was fit enough for work. But my social worker said she's not. She needs your support. He wouldn't give it. So I changed doctor surgeries. And I saw another doctor who absolutely supported me. So, you know, I'm not saying this doctor was bad in what he did. It's just that some doctors work differently.
And you changed it.
I changed it.
Yeah.
And you know what? This, you know, he even without my notes, I went to see him because I thought I changed over. Even without my notes, he supported me 100%. He said, "What can I?" He said to me, "What can I do for you? What can I help you with?" And that was so refreshing to hear that from him. Those doctors are out there. They are out there. It's just you know. As I said, we have rights. If you don't get on with something, you can go and look somewhere else. And, you know, and I did that.
Yeah.
And the doctor was brilliant and he supported me. And whenever I ever have a little wobble now, I know I can go back to him and say, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And he supports whatever. I mean, I'm off medication now, you know, but, you know, back then I needed my medication. I'm not saying anybody should come off medication. You should never, ever come off medication without doctors say so. But, you know, but my mindfulness, my meditation, all these good things I've let into my life have now, I don't need my medication. So it's all about, you know, again, finding your own way. It's, you know, everybody's different, finding your own way and asking for help.
Yeah. So if anybody listening right now thinks that they might be struggling with PTSD or there is out there. And if what you're getting is not helping, just keep going.
Yeah, I think, yes, I advise anybody to keep going and finding that person, you know, that's going to help you. You know, there is so much out there, you know, there's so many different, and there's even groups, private groups that you can go into, and these private groups are really, really safe. There's no nastiness or anything, and they have got people, everybody on that page is suffering the same. And I think sometimes letting yourself, but that can be quite daunting for people. I'm not saying just jump in and do that. The first thing is just going and seeking help, really. It's just, you know, speaking to a professional, but always a professional first. Then you find your way with other people.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing everything with us, Vanessa.
Oh, thank you for listening.
Love our chats. And then we'll be doing another one next month, won't we?
Yes.
And if anybody wants to put any comments in, and if there's anything that anybody wants to hear us talking about, then just let us know and we'll come up with another subject next time. So,
thank you.